Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Are you here too, Ellen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Larry, you're gonna just talk, right? You're not gonna present?
I'm going to share my screen to present.
Yeah, Ellen's going to share also. So, yeah, I'm just going to
Okay.
be. I'm just
Okay.
the mouthpiece. Yeah.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's June 10th, 2021, and this is the Public Outreach and Technology Committee meeting of the Fair Political Practices Commission. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Chair Matich?
Here. We'll proceed to item number 1, public comment for items not on today's agenda. Do we have any public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed to item number 2. This is approval of the April 7th, 2021 committee minutes. Commissioner Wilson, do you have any edits or comments on the meeting minutes?
Oh, no, my only comment is Ms. Linker and staff continue to do a great job tracking all of our actions, and I appreciate all their hard work.
I agree. All right, I will go ahead and move approval of the April 7th, 2021 minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Chair Matich?
Aye.
The motion passes.
All right, proceed to item number 3 now. This is an update on our FPPC website changes, and with us is our communications director, Jay Wieringa. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioner Wilson. As part of our effort to take a comprehensive look at the website to see what improvements should and can be made, we reached out as requested to both external and internal staff and external stakeholders to gain the feedback basically on what folks like and what they don't like, what's working well, and what suggestions they may have for improvements. So as instructed, we reached out to numerous external stakeholders and received feedback from 3, all of which obviously are some of our most significant groups that interact with us. They included the California Political Attorneys Association, also the Institute for Local Government, and we did receive some brief feedback from a representative from a legislative office. Obviously, the CPAA is one of our most significant stakeholders, as is ILG, which represents California State Association of Counties, the League of California Cities, and the California Special Districts Association. I'll start by saying this is kind of a general overview, and more specific information can be and will be provided by IT, as some of these instructions have already been moved to that department to work on. And I'll also say there wasn't a real demand for a comprehensive overhaul or redesign, or an entirely new site from any of the stakeholders, or internally for that matter, which is probably good considering the agency's budget situation. And I'll also strongly point out that all of them had a relatively positive impression as to the look and functionality of our website. Some comments included consistent and clean branding, and relatively easy to navigate, and fairly intuitive in terms of that navigation as well. But of course, asking for constructive criticism gives you feedback designed to find the weaknesses, flaws, problems, and other issues, especially to what the external community sees. So I'll start with the external feedback. And it basically boiled down to the overall topic of searches and search functions and functionality. The external feedback specified virtually every type of search, requesting more specific and accurate searches for various types of, say, enforcement actions, for regulations and type or topic of the regulations, as well as a request for a more, quote, robust advice letter search, or maybe a totally separate advice letter search. There was also feedback in regards to linking various portions through hyperlink rather than the drop-downs on the side in various areas, although in other cases, people gave us good comments on the drop-downs and were reported that's the preferred way to go. So some of this is obviously quite subjective. We currently do have various types of search functions for, say, enforcement actions. One can search for case closures. The various types and dates will be there, but it is something mentioned in the external feedback. The next main item related to the FPPC's upcoming meetings and trainings and events, things that we were doing and happening. And a common request was to put it all on one page in one place. Currently, there is information And that is on the landing page, but there are separate tabs for things like meetings and others compared to the monthly commission meeting and agenda, and then separate tabs within each. So a lot of feedback came back to say, can we put everything on one page, what we're doing this month? And the third most commented or requested item from external feedback was on the general topic of filings, and this also came from a brief response from the legislative staff. Not much further information was provided to us other than the general implication of, again, putting everything that needed to be filed with us on one page. Internally, most folks also responded they felt our website is doing well. It has, we're looking for two main audiences, both amateur and professionals. Amateurs, the ones who don't use the website that often, maybe some in the media, the public, first-time candidates, and professionals are obviously those that deal with us significantly, city attorneys, CPAA, campaigns, that sort of thing. And there was a significant amount of crossover with the feedback from the external stakeholders with internal staff impressions. Search, again, was mentioned most often, such as separating advice letter search from the main search bar, and maybe separate search boxes in each category, such as Learn has a search, Advice has a search, Law has a search. That was something mentioned by staff. And also, as mentioned by external stakeholders, some feedback came internally regarding put all of the filings and all of the forms on one page. And again, it's kind of a mixed and subjective feedback that, yeah, it's all there and we know where to go and it works well, but maybe for some people it doesn't. And there were also helpful suggestions on removing duplicative links, phone numbers, and adding new information to the homepage on upcoming events or meetings. So I'm happy, this information was then gathered and presented to executive staff, which had a chance to review and provide thoughts, and some initial guidance to IT, which I understand has some research and action actually may have been taken on some of that. And I'm happy to provide the committee with an outline of this and answer any questions, but again, would also point out IT was instructed to begin looking into this and has much more in-depth information on this.
Thank you, Mr. Woodring.
Yep.
It certainly sounds like we've made a fair degree of progress here. Commissioner Wilson, do you have any questions or comments at this point?
No, I think Mr. Wyringer gave a very thorough overview. Some of the points that he covered in terms of recommendations made by the stakeholders were recommendations that were part of some action items that the commission, as well as the executive director and her staff had already started working on. So, Mr. Crabtree and the IT department has already started working on some of those items, but it's best to be as inclusive as possible. So thank you.
Great. At this time, Commissioner Wilson, what do you think about taking our items out of order and now turning to item 5, which is the website search function, since that's one of the items that it sounds like we received the most stakeholder feedback about, and allow Mr. Crabtree the opportunity to talk to us about, from the IT perspective, the options for enhancing our search capability.
Well, that makes total sense, and I think the chair could have moved there unilaterally, but I appreciate you affording me the input.
Anytime, Commissioner Wilson, anytime. All right, Mr. Crabtree, why don't we go ahead and take up item number 5, and why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts and input on our website search function.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. We took a look at all of the search functions we have on our website, the different specialized ones in that, and Rieko had put together a page with all of them on it. And I think you saw the prototype of that before. What we've done since then is we built that out with some, I would say, more advanced search functionality for all of these searches. I think one thing that's really good about putting them all on one page, because I noticed Jay had mentioned that people were looking for an advice letter search. We already have that but evidently it's hard to find. So I think by putting them all on one page, that's going to make it much easier for people to find our searches. I have Rieko is going to walk through it. I'll talk to it, but she's going to walk through our search page. Do you want to do that, Rieko? Okay, so what we've done, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, we used to have like a little input bar there where you type in some text and hit the search. And it was a very basic search function for the whole website. Whatever words you put in there were treated as an OR. So for example, if you put in mass mailing, it would find any document that has either mass or mailing in it, and which, when you cover the whole website, brings back quite a few hits, and it appeared to be not as useful as it could be. So what we've done now is we've replaced all of that with just a click for a search there. So now this is our new search page. We have the entire search site, which used to be up in the corner, but now we have it here. Do you want to take a look at, you want to run down that search there? So for example, now we have added what they call it, the Lucene syntax, but we've added some features to the search. It's not just an OR search anymore. We have the ability to, you want to show the different syntaxes that we have. So the kind of searches we can do is we can do quoted searches, well, like down there where it shows John Smith. We have, and we can use ands to connect two different types of words and searches, and ors and nots. So if you want to go back, Rieko, we'll kind of walk through some of those. And put in, for example, mass mailing without any quotes. So you see that brought back 1,600, about 1,600 results. Now, if you put quotes around that, then it's going to look for just those two words next to each other. You see that brought that down quite a bit. Now, if you do and search, you want to maybe do and. Okay, so we're going to do that. So we're looking for mass mailing and December. So again, that takes it down even further. Now we could also do the not search. So now, instead of including, it rejected all documents that have December in it, but the ones that have mass mailing and not December in them are returned, which is a much smaller group. So this should make it easier to zero in on the different things that people are looking for. Now, if you go back, Rieko. So this will work on all of the searches we have here. So we've already implemented this, and this is all in our development area. We're ready to move this into production if that's what the commission would like to do. I'm not going to run through it right now, but we did have a request for a regulation search, which we didn't have before. So we added that type of search also. So that's a new search that we've added. Maybe you can do a real quick one on that, Rieko, just to show how the regulation search works. So then, yeah, pick a regulation area. So basically, that's the mass mailing in chapter 4. So that's all the things that are in chapter 4. So anyway, that's pretty much the search functionality we have now. Is there any questions we can answer on that?
Well, I have a couple questions, but first, let me just say, this is fantastic. I think you guys really have taken the feedback we've given you and started developing something that's much more robust and precise in terms of our search capability. You showed us what we can do in terms of phrases and can we also search within a paragraph? So for example, if I wanted to search mass mailing and another term occurring within the same paragraph, could I do that with the new search engine?
I have to look into it to make sure that we have it implemented. There's not really a functionality to do that, but you can say things like, you might be able to say things like find this word within 100 words of a different word, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the same concept.
Yeah.
So that's something that
We'll look into
Mr.
that.
Crabtree, you're telling us you're going to be able to look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it. I'm not sure if it's available in this particular search that we have, or search functionality we have. Excuse me, but we'll definitely look into that.
What is assume that the committee, and then the commission ultimately were interested in moving to this type of a search. What's the timeline to implement that?
We could probably, I mean, we're ready to do it now, so we'd probably do it within, what do you think, Rieko, within a week or so? We could,
Yes. Mhm.
be no problem. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be any disruption to the website at all, because we would do this in the background, keeping it the way it is until we get all the new stuff inserted into the site.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson, you have a question?
Yes, Commissioner, Chair Matich. In addition to the implementation timeline that the chair outlined, and that's assuming that it's approved by the full commission, I also think would be helpful for those individuals who are maybe technologically challenged to just have like kind of a quick reference sheet so that they understand, and it would not be the stakeholders, obviously, but someone who's maybe coming to the site for the first time to be kind of briefed on how the search function would work. Because we all tend to sometimes assume that everyone knows the acronyms and the processes that we're familiar with, but I think that would further enhance the use of the site. Then my other question is, Mr. Crabtree, and this is just kind of a general question, let me back up, are we able to track the number of users that go on the site on a weekly or monthly or quarterly basis?
Yes, okay. we save all of the web logs. We have the software to analyze the logs. Like I believe you've seen some of the logs in the past.
Right. Yeah, that was my understanding, but I just wanted to go on the record with that question. Thank you.
Yeah. So real quick, Rieko, can you show the help for the search? So this is the little search or a little help that we had put together for this. Now we could modify this, but I think this is maybe along the lines of your help for the people who aren't familiar with our search functionality.
Yeah, it seems pretty easy to follow, and if someone were to read this entire site search page, that was a mouthful, I think would give them a pretty clear indication of what they need to do. So thank you.
Okay.
Crabtree, anything further you wanted to discuss with respect to the site search?
No, I don't have anything. I don't know if anyone else does.
All right, let me ask you this. If we wanted to proceed to bring this back to the commission in July for a decision on whether or not to flip the switch and go with this new site search, would your team be in a position to do that timing-wise? And would you be able to do that and also have looked into what additional searching within paragraphs, the thing we just mentioned a few minutes ago, searching within a couple hundred words or what have you.
Yeah.
Could you look into that and report back to us for a decision in July?
Yes, we could do that. It shouldn't take too long to figure out if we can do that, the so-called paragraph search. And
Mr.
then
Wilson,
just,
what do you think about that timing?
Sounds good on my end.
All right, well, Mr. Crabtree, why don't you and your team plan to present this to the full commission at our July commission meeting for review and approval by the commission at that time?
okay.
In between now and then, if you haven't already, I would encourage you to do some beta testing just to make sure, particularly with respect to advice letters and some of the other search categories, just to make sure that when we're putting in terms, that everything is being captured and that things don't get dropped off there. To the extent we can do that kind of beta testing at the time.
Yeah, we have it up now, so if anybody else is interested in testing to make sure it's right, we can certainly give them access. So, I mean, sometimes you when you test your own, the stuff you have written, you don't test it as well as somebody else would, you know what I mean? Because you know how it works, but so if we could get some other
Commissioner
people to
Wilson?
help us, that would be good.
Commissioner Wilson, you had a question or comment?
I would volunteer to help out in that regard if you direct me to the
Okay.
appropriate link later this week or next week. I'll be more than happy to go out there and and test it. But it looks very good at this stage.
All right.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, Commissioner Wilson, any additional questions or comments on items 3 or 5, the two that we've received presentations on?
No, I have some additional ideas for us to consider as a committee, but I think we need to take one step at a time.
Right, fair enough. All right, do we have any public comment then on items 3 or 5? And seeing none, Mr. Crabtree, we'll go ahead and keep you on the hot seat and move to
Okay.
item number 4. This is the FPPC meeting video timestamp.
Okay, so this is another thing we were asked to take a look at. The idea is to be able to have a link. So say, for example, on the video for this meeting, we would have links for probably for each agenda item, and you'd be able to jump to that point in the video just by clicking the link. So for example, you could say, maybe you wanted to see Jay's presentation. You would click on the number 3 item in the agenda, and it would take you right to the start of his piece. So we have done a prototype of that. I've got Elwin's here. Elwin has taken that on, and he's done a prototype of it. So do you want to bring that up?
Yes, I'm
Go on.
going to share it with sound.
Okay.
Here I have an example of the September 2020 agenda with the YouTube video. So usually when we start the video, we're going to start right at 00. So what we have in the agenda is, say, we want to go to item number 1. We'll have a link right here. So we'll go to there, and it'll automatically jump to 2041, which
We'll begin with public comment for items
So,
not on the
while this
agenda.
is playing,
I
say
see that we
something
have some
at the
digital
agenda.
public comment,
They can
but is there, at this time, hearing none, We'll go ahead and proceed to item number 2, approval of the commission meeting minutes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so when we click onto this one, item 2, it'll automatically jump to the section of the video while it's playing, or if you have it paused, it will jump to it. So we're going to have that for each item.
And there'll be a link in the agenda, so. Just wonder how to feel about that. Should it be separate or should it be, is it good to have it in the agenda? You know, these are just things we thought of, but maybe people have other ideas about how that should work.
So, I mean, I will just tell you, again, I appreciate staff's work on this. I think this is even including it in the agenda is an improvement on not having that capability currently. I remember a couple of years back, I was looking at a city council meeting. I think they used Granicus, was the program they used. And as I was watching the meeting in the viewer, I could see the different items while looking in the viewer. And be able to click on them that way. So as I'm watching the video, I could navigate through it that way. It appears that the approach that you've taken here is somebody would have to open the agenda and then pick which item. Is there any way to do it more like what I just described, where when I pull up the YouTube video of our commission meeting, we have a drop down of the different items and we can just click on it from the video directly?
I don't, I'll let Alwyn correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think with this approach you could do it within the video. I mean, we could have put a drop down right below the video.
So on the agenda page, you're saying like either having a sidebar, or say we have a sidebar in this section, or just putting something here that has all the items listed together with the timing, and someone can click it?
That's closer to what I'm talking about. And I mean, it might be helpful for you or for other folks in IT to just go to pick a city, go to their council meetings, and just see the way it's presented in that format. I think if you do that a couple times, you might see other ways of accomplishing the same thing.
Okay.
Talking about. Commissioner Wilson?
Yes, Chair Matich, you kind of covered one of the points or questions I was going to ask. I think it's important to somehow separate the hyperlink that is tied to the agenda from the actual documents that are used at the meeting and the actual video. So someone might click on the hyperlink thinking they're going to get a document, for example, the minutes, when in fact, what you want is to make it clear that when you click on the video link, it's going to take you to the video and audio for that meeting and not any related documents. Because while we might know that instinctively, through the FPPC, someone who just accesses the page might not understand that distinction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, that was just one approach to it, one thought on how to organize it, but there's obviously many ways to do it, and we're open to.
Well, I think you're right on track, because I know when I've gone to look at some prior commission meetings, several years back, I was taken to that meeting, and then I had to figure out, okay, where do I go in the actual meeting video to find what I was looking for.
And this is a no cost option. There's no cost to do this one, so but we can look at some other ones, maybe some that have a cost connected with them. So we can look at some other options.
Yeah. Well, I think
do you know, Mr. Crabtree, whether adding a drop-down menu to the video would require an additional cost at this time?
I don't know, but yes, I don't have any idea what, if it would cost to actually add it directly to the video or not. We just have to look at it for some solutions that work that way.
Right.
But we can do that.
My sense is it might be useful to spend a little bit of time examining that potential option. But I think, again, just to echo what Commissioner Wilson said, I think you are on the right track, and this is better than what we had before. Certainly enhanced functionality.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Wilson, anything further on this item?
No, Chair Matich, you covered it.
All right, so Mr. Crabtree, why don't we plan on you reporting back to us at the next committee meeting on the meeting video timestamp and whether there are other options or whether this is the best option for us at this time.
Okay.
Great work, though. Great work to IT, as always. All right, any public comment on item 4? Hearing and seeing none. Commissioner Wilson, you had mentioned before you had some ideas maybe for future committee meetings. Did you wish to share those with us?
I'm still working through the particulars, so I think the IT staff has a full plate, and so I'm going to flesh out some of the ideas that I have so that when I do bring them to the committee, they'll be well thought out and prepared for the appropriate analysis.
All right. Well, at this time, we've completed our agenda for today. So I will move to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Linker?
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Chair Matich.
Aye.
The motion passes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again to our IT staff. Good to see you, Commissioner Wilson. I'll
Okay.
see you next
Good
week.
seeing you, Chair Matich, and see you next week.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.